If you pick it up. There's two sides. It has two sides.
Two sides.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So now they're
Right.
Yeah, I can do some more.
So first of all, your name?
Dan Kulo.
Ben, you're still involved with Sealy Fire Department. How do you feel about, with Kevin and everything and the turnout here today?
It's real good. I'm always fortunate to come here. As long as my health is good, I'm going to be coming here to represent my son.
Tell me a little bit about Kevin's love for firefighting.
He loved firefighting. He always said that if he would die, that he would die fighting fires. And that's what he did. He loved firefighters, and he wasn't scared of fire. He's still fighting them if he wouldn't have went down in this fire over there off of Hillcross. And I just lost a good boy, and I'll never forget him.
I know.
received an email from Renee Yonke. Steve Yonke, for those of you who may not know, is dealing with melanoma stage 4 cancer, and it's a tough battle right now. And there seems to be a particular problem with HMO Blue being responsive to the type of experimental treatment that Steve needs right now. Steve's given 35 years of his life to the city, to this fire department, and we should not let him down. So I'd like to ask Local 341 if you'll join me in asking these beautiful people if you will make sure that our mayor and our HR department holds HMO, pushes HMO Blue to make sure that they do everything possible for the Yonke family. I think it's only right, especially for everything that the Yonke family has done for us, everything that they stand for, and everything that our brave firefighters do. Will you do that for me? Will you get on the phone? Will you send some emails and make sure that our mayor understands how serious this is, and that we need to make sure that we don't just honor you after you've given your life, but that we honor heroism that you guys exemplify every day by making sure that the resources that we have at our disposal are at the disposal of our brave firefighters. Thank you so much. God bless.
Here, which is incredibly beautiful. It's called the Arch of Freedom. And Harry, who's just an incredible artist from the Netherlands, this is a wood carving cast in bronze, and he was inspired by the heroic acts of September 11th and the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and United Flight 93. He's presenting a piece today to the Houston firefighters for their heroism, sacrifice, to be displayed at the pension office.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm from Holland, so I hope you can understand. I do my best. It's an honor and a privilege and a from God-given opportunity that I may stand here in front of you to present my Art for Freedom. After the attack on the 9/11, I took me almost a year before I could start my carving to express all my feelings. I created the Art for Freedom in honor of the victims of the attack on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the planes. And as tribute to America's spirit of freedom and commitment to rise above evil.
The life he lived, the chance he took. He held the pipe with a shaking hand. The February wind cut through the abandoned house. Old photographs, magazines, and children's toys were only silhouettes in the darkness of early morn. He lit the match, but his numb fingers could not grip it, so it slid through liquid air. Soon the silhouettes could be seen for what they were, to the corner of the dilapidated neighborhood. The driver watched the man's escape, saw the smoke creeping out of the cracks of the structure, and quickly called the fire department. The fire captain walked in just as the telephone began to sing. Though it was not yet his shift, and as captain, he did not have to take the call, he leaped onto the engine and sped away. When he arrived with his crew, he organized his team for a search and rescue, unaware that the house was abandoned. As he gave out orders, he wiped his hand and another firefighter just behind him. They pushed in the door, but once inside the house, the hose stopped and would go no further. The captain motioned to the rookie to go see what was wrong, taking his place at the front of the hose. When they flew into the house, the fire began to go wild. It was as if they had been thrown into the sun. A crack from the ceiling sounded overhead. The captain yelled to his men, his friends, to get out. As the ceiling began to fall, time seemed to move in slow motion as brief glimpses of his life passed by. The captain floated back to just 5 days before at the church, where he he had spoken about the importance of being a good father at his girl's Valentine's Day party. He saw last Christmas when he played cowboys and Indians with his son. One final time, he recalled his wife's kiss. He whispered the name of his Savior, and then he saw him. I remember that day. My grandpa called to tell us my uncle was missing in action, which is never good for a firefighter. A few minutes later, my uncle's life was no longer a questionable thing for us. Shock held back my tears. I walked into the bathroom where my sleepy brother was attempting to put in his contacts. I stuttered out the words that I didn't want to believe, then sank down in the doorway, trying to pray, trying to cry, trying to believe that I was awake. We drove to my aunt's house where we waited for more news. For hours we
Jenna, that was very powerful, and very moving. You know, we talked about a lot of traditions in the fire service in the Houston Fire Department. Asking the family members, a representative of the family, to please line up over here on the left. We'll be placing a rose, a ceremonial rose, as each name is read. And at the same time, Houston firefighters will be placing a helmet representative of that firefighter. If you notice this year, these helmets were individualized. A very good effort of firefighters that not only will the firefighters have their name engraved in the back, but also their station. So if we can have members of the family please line up on the left.
Thompson. Frank W. Malinka. Clifford W. Johnson. Barney C. Moffett. Herman J. Wagner. Clifford A. Weiss. Robert Rutherford Glass. A. Harris.
Charles Roland Russ. Alfred Henry Schultz. Molly Walker. James Edward Lott. Stop right there.
The fire department is filled with many traditions. One of the oldest traditions is the use of the bell. The bell dates back to the days of Benjamin Franklin, and it was used to signal to the crew that there was a fire, and it was also used to signal 7-1 which was the tone used.
Okay, first of all, what's your name?
Kalkulo.
Evan Kula. Your daddy was fireman, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your dad.
He liked to keep our house clean, the outside of it. He liked to be a firefighter especially, and he loved his family a lot.
Do you enjoy firefighting too? Your grandpa's one also?
Yes, sir.
What about you? What are your plans?
I think I want to be a firefighter.
Just like daddy?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about daddy's. Did he tell you a lot about firefighting? He talked about firefighting a lot?
Yes, sir.
Tell me any favorite story that he ever told you?
When he had to get someone out with the jaws alive.
Okay. And you're what, a catcher in the baseball team now?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
I've been catcher for 2 years, and I'm in pitching machine.
You doing pretty good with it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Chief Brisky, tell me a little bit about the firefighters nowadays compared to back then as far as, I mean, we've lost some firefighters recently and lost several years before, but there's a lot of difference in safety now and everything else. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, actually, we've lost 5 firefighters in the last 7 years, and it's hit the department very, very hard. And we took a total look at the way we fight fire. Quite honestly, the fires are hotter now than they were back then. And the reason for that is that the number of plastics that we have is like a petroleum based, and so it puts out twice as many BTUs as like burning wood. Also, our construction actually has gotten a lot more efficient, but that's a bad thing for Houston firefighters because we now have this truss roof construction, and so our ceilings, they come down a lot quicker than a lot of our old type of construction. And on top of that, we have a lot more safety equipment, so we go a lot deeper into the structure than we were ever able to do when I first came in. We didn't really utilize air packs 20-something years ago. Now we're going deeper in the interior. So when you look at going deeper in the interior, fires burning twice as hot as they used to because of the large number of plastics and the efficiencies in construction. Obviously, the roof comes down a lot quicker because of our lightweight truss roof construction. All three of those factors really are the danger job of the firefighter has increased. We look at even with the advances in safety equipment that have come out over the years, we're still losing a little over 100 firefighters annually every year in this nation. So what we have to do as a department, we have to be smarter, we have to train more, we have to be able to recognize these dangers. And that's part of an ongoing process that we have within the department.
What about the family backing of these firefighters? I mean, you see all the family members here today. All your firefighters are basically the same way. I mean, families, it's great to see the backing that they back those firefighters. They're working. They know the dangers they're going into every day, but they're there for them.
Well, that's one thing about Houston firefighters and firefighters nationwide. We are truly, truly family. And you know that because firefighters, they live together, they work together, they socialize together. They go into dangerous situations routinely with a sense of duty, fearlessness, and pride. And this closeness comes together in ceremonies like this that we always remember, never forget our family. You see family members that have come from all over the country, from Pennsylvania today, here to remember their family members. So they may be blood relatives, and these men and women in uniform, their family also. So these families come together to remember, to pay tribute, and to look at our brother firefighters that have gone before us.